All right, welcome to the Economic Homestead channel. Today, we want to talk a little bit about silver. What's going on? Where's the price going? And I want to start here by taking a look at this chart. We go way back and we can see, what's been happening, right? I mean, the price is going up. Unfortunately, there's a great deal of false expectations on what the price should be doing, where should it be, manipulation, and this is a whole other discussion, and I don't want to get into that right now, but I want to take a look at these two spikes that we saw. One here in 1980, and then again in 2011. This first one here, right? It is my opinion. Again, this is not financial advice. I am not an advisor or anything like that. That this first spike here was due to inflation or fears of inflation, and which, I mean, I know a lot of people would say this is the Hunt brothers and manipulation, and be that as it may, I think this is all about inflation. We'd been on a gold standard since 1971. They ended it. Nixon ended that. So of course, inflation is going to be front and center. I mean, the public then must have been really like in tune with inflation. Having been on this gold standard, then it's gone. What do you think is going to happen? And of course, that's pretty much what happened. Inflation, goes up, and we see the rise in the price of silver. And I want to take a look at here we go, some data. We can see here in 1979, 11%, right? 1980, 13%, 1981, 10%, right? So we have this double-digit inflation going on. This coincides with the rise of silver. And let's take a look at today. They tell us it's 4.6%. I mean, this is just, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's much higher than it's been over the last 15 years or whatever, but it's just absurdly ridiculous to argue that it's a mere 4.6%, right? I mean, just going out to the grocery store, I mean, I look at like the frozen pizzas we buy, the DiGiorno. It used to be $5 even, now it's $5.96. That's 19-20%. Diet Coke, toilet paper, right? Milk, and this is nothing, like gasoline. Do you pay college tuition? I mean, what about the cost of medical? Have you been to the doctor? I mean, the prices are. It really is astonishing. I mean, the things that like I witness almost daily. I just can't believe no one's talking about it. It's just amazing. So I'm going to argue that inflation is much higher than this, right? Probably even higher than this, right? I mean, 12, 13%. It's at least that, if not worse. And so the point I'm making is that right now, the conditions that gave rise to this spike are here right now, if not worse. But it's just that the perception hasn't caught on yet. People aren't aware. I mean, how many people do you know that are talking about silver, right? I mean, I really can't think of anybody. I mean, they don't even talk about it, much less actually buy it. And maybe that demand is sort of like been hijacked or is in the Bitcoin or crypto market. So I mean, there's probably a lot of people that would normally have been in the silver market that are buying crypto, but I don't know. I mean, it seems like a lot of that demand in crypto is all about like just speculation and getting rich quick, getting rich overnight. It's not like I don't think people buy silver with the expectation of getting rich overnight. It's more of a defensive play. And so, I mean, that's a topic for another video. That's interesting. But the point I'm making is that the conditions that gave rise to this are here right now. In fact, they're greater right now than they were then, but the public doesn't perceive it yet. So we move over to this one right here, the 2010, 2011, the great financial crisis, this big run up here. And, what was going on? This was like, the Lehman Brothers, like these large banking institutions, they're failing or on the verge of failing, and this huge injection of money, QE1, 2, and 3, artificially prop it up, save it. And so when you start injecting all this money, the fears of inflation, right? And this is compounded with like fear of the monetary system collapsing and all kinds of other things. This is much more complicated. But again, so we'll just take a look, right? This is the quantitative QE1. It doesn't look that big. I mean, this is a more than doubling. Then they do it again here, a couple of years later. They do it again. They do it a third time. And then they end it, right? And so then we get to today, or the more like modern times, like in the last 5 years or so. And now look what they're doing. They call this something else now. Like the moves now make these look ridiculous. I mean, they make them look very small. That's kind of something, but not really much. Here, I mean, we go back 100 years and we see like here's QE 1, 2, and 3. And then we have this. I mean, this is actually outdated. This ends at 7. I mean, it should be at like 9. It would be literally off the chart if we had today's data here on how much money is being printed or created or whatever you want to call it, increasing the Fed's balance sheet. It's incomprehensible. And so the point I'm making again is that the conditions that gave rise to this bubble, this spike here are here today. Yeah, I mean, we have all the conditions here. Many of the conditions here, we don't see anything failing yet. I don't see any like that kind of fear doesn't seem to be prevalent, not yet anyway, and I wouldn't expect it to until things start to fail, which I don't even know if they can anymore. Because I mean, they can just print, and now that they're actually like in this printing cycle here, QE 1, 2, and 3, we never saw that money. That never came to us. Did they bail your company out? Are you a small business owner? And did you receive, the bailout? No. So that money went somewhere else. The banking institutions, whatever. This right here, a lot of this, not most of it, but some of it went directly into stimulus. And so people are now getting that, which really like speeds up the inflation rates. But how are you going to walk that back? How are you going to start reining that in? You're gonna end it. You're gonna run for office and tell people that you're gonna end stimulus spending, or you're just gonna keep doing more of it. And now that they can do it at will, whenever, without any sort of like backlash. I mean, it used to be like one political party would say we need to increase spending, and the other one would say no, we need to decrease spending, unless it was military spending, and then it was the opposite. But there was sort of one say spend, the other one say don't spend. Now they both say spend. It's just how much. It varies little by little. So this is sort of unleashed, and you look at an article talking about how many dollars have been printed, in the last 12 months. This is last May, but I mean, I don't know what else to conclude, assuming this data is accurate. I mean, everybody always says, and this is something else I've never heard anyone bring up. I mean, we all agree that the consumer price index or inflation is underreported, that it's worse in actuality than they're telling us. We all agree that, unemployment data is not reported accurately, that there's more unemployment, take people out of the labor force, and, what about like the national debt? Is it 29 trillion? Is that accurate? Is it possible that that number is also being underreported and that the debt's really like 100 trillion? I mean, the money printing right here, is it possible that, instead of printing that much for QE, they printed that much? I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's like sort of like you sort of have to prove the other way. It's like, of course it's underreported. All of it seems to be underreported. So maybe things are even worse than they tell us. I mean, we know the inflation numbers are worse. We know the unemployment numbers are worse. So, of course, the financial numbers are probably worse, right? Who knows? Who could possibly know these things? But, that's what it seems like to me. So anyway, the conditions that we saw here, somewhat, are pretty much prevalent today. It's just a matter of public opinion kind of catching up. And it seems as if the public in general is more gullible. Like this chart could probably measure gullibility. People will believe sort of anything that they're told nowadays. They're going to receive a stimulus, of course, whatever. Yeah, just send me my check. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, so how long can this system limp along? and be considered good and be considered expansionary. Like, people will believe whatever they're told. And until they believe otherwise, and I don't know what would cause them to believe otherwise. I mean, look at the stock market. It just keeps going up. It's been going up for over 10 years. Why wouldn't it continue? I mean, everyone, hears, oh, it's going to crash. It's going to crash. Why would it crash? I mean, they're going to print money. And no one's going to stop this. No one's going to stop that. Why would it crash? I mean, until people lose confidence in the actual dollar, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything to change. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how long this price could be artificially kept down or suppressed or whatever. But until enough people are aware, and maybe enough are. Like I said, maybe a lot of that interest went into Bitcoin or something like that, and it doesn't take a majority percentage of the population to see, and maybe it only takes 2 or 3%. Once 2 or 3% act, maybe that's all it takes. So who can possibly know the answer to these questions? But anyway, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and see what happens in the future. But if there was anything in this video you liked, please give me a thumbs up, or feel free to leave a comment if you think I got something wrong, or if there's something that that should be added to this discussion. I'm sure there's a million things, and I appreciate your visiting and your support. Thank you.